In this video, I'm going to give you guys a review of the Meusoc from Military Armament Corporation, or MAC. So, got this thing for about 600 bucks, maybe a little bit less, and I was actually looking at getting like a custom gun or dressing up my lightweight operator, but it would never be true because it's a lightweight frame. It would never really do as well, but you can see a picture right here of what I did. The idea behind the Meusoc was they wanted to keep their 1911s, and it was their special pistol for their mission, right? So this one has a QPQ finish on everything, and you can see there a little bit of barrel wear right there. Not very much, but it's good enough to, make you a little happy. And see there, I'm not really getting all that much wear on the barrel yet, and I'm at about, I'd say I'm a little over 500 rounds in this, so it's not really all that much, but for 45 you can pretty much tell if you're going to have issues for the most part. So anyways, you can see here, very classic slide design. So this is one of the early generation Meusocs that they're copying off of. Pachmayr grips, the no memory bump on the beaver tail. You got ambidextrous controls. They're nice and contoured, so it's not going to eat up your hand like some people have reported with the Colts. They're not contoured. So unless you're shooting with gloves, it's not going to really feel all that great. Ring hammer, nice feature. Lanyard loop on a mainspring. You get Meusoc magazines instead of like the 7-rounder Wilson Combats that you typically get with the Meusocs. Meusocs always ran with 7-round magazines from Wilson Combat. But you can see that this is basically like the Colt hard slides that they had at the beginning. That looked a lot like the GIs, but a nice stamped front sight right here, where it was just riveted into position. And then the large back. And you can see it's a blacked out sight picture. So there's really not much to it. It's nice and high. It's very high visibility in relation to like the GI sights, but I find that the GI sights are more precise. You're able to get really tight shots at long range with those things. This not so much. The sights are really big for that, so I've really come accustomed to the GI sights on 1911s. But with that said, philosophy of use for this, I would say that I would be comfortable putting this into duty use. It has been reliable. It is built very well. It's basically an M1911A1 frame, and they just put like a modified slide on it. And this is basically a frame from TSOS, and Military Armament Corporation got it in and did some things to it, and here you go. There it is on the market. So I would put this into duty use. I would have no problems with that. It's reliable, it's built tough, and I would use it for home defense, whatever you want to use it for. So, that's just my ideas on that. So obligatory actions. What that means is once you get the gun, what do you want to do with it right away? So right away, I would say that you need to evaluate springs. And on this one, I checked the recoil spring, and as you can see, this is what I saw. So I didn't mess with it. It wasn't any thinner than the Wilson Combat or anything, so I kind of, gave it, the benefit of the doubt, and it's been pretty stout so far. It's felt almost exactly like the 18-pound springs that I have in all the other pistols, and yes, the springs they ran in the Meusocs were 18-pound springs, because they knew they were going to be doing a lot of work with them. So the 16-pound spring would be fine, if you were running 230 ball, like 830 feet per second all the time. But if you're going to be running variations in how hot they are, you want to get a little bit of a heavier spring. So you want to cater it towards the amount of abuse you're going to be putting it through as far as like the variation and load. So if you do a little bit of reading on that, just the stock, way they did it back in 1911 in the original design ain't going to cut it unless you're just sticking to 830 feet per second, 230 grain ball all the time. The mainspring is the other one that you want to watch out for, because a lot of times the hammer is going to have like an 18-pound spring or 20-pound. They try to lighten it up a little bit just to take down the trigger weight just a tad. But this one was pretty tight. Like, it was pretty tight to actually cock the hammer or even run the action. Like, I couldn't even run the action that easily, just by running the front. Usually I can take the front and I can rack it and cock the hammer really easily. I can't with this gun, and so that's a good sign that the mainspring is nice and tight which is going to help with delaying and making sure that the round is not, being shortened on its time in the cartridge, because that does give some resistance to the slide rearward movement, right? So that's important. Everything's got to work together, right? Last one, plunger spring. You want to make sure that plunger spring is nice and tight, because when you get into, the safety and everything, you want to make sure that it's clicking and is very strong. This one was not really all that great to begin with, and I'll show you this picture here. And you can see here that it wasn't all that big of a deal. I just went ahead and changed it out with the entire Wilson Combat assembly, and it's been fine. It's been nice and tight right away, and that plunger spring will keep the slide from getting bumped, as the rounds are feeding, and forcing the slide to lock back when you still have rounds, because every now and then you are going to get full metal jacket rounds that are going to bump against the slide stop, and if you have a weak plunger spring, number one, it's not really going to be tactile on the safety. It'll just kind of flop. But also that means that the slide stop is not being held down, because there's a slight angle to the slide stop, just like this, and that plunger is pushing against it, which is keeping a downward force on it to keep it down until there's enough force from a magazine to push it up and lock it back. So yeah, that's just how that functions, and you want to make sure that it's strong enough to do that. So shooting experience overall, well, I put about 500 rounds through it, not all that much, but today I did 100 rounds, kind of as fast as I could just pick up the sights, and, as soon as it was in the black, I sent it. And that's about 110 rounds. So I'll go ahead and play that footage for when I did that target. We'll start off with the Chip McCormick 10 rounder. Yep. All right. So first malfunction here, and it was with a Wilson, so it wanted to lock open and the round wasn't able to actually go fully in. Okay, so that Wilson Combat worked pretty good. I'll just separate that out. I'm going to do a unique marking so I can check it out in the future and see if I can replicate that. That might have been the one magazine that gave me the one problem. That's good. And stop. So we'll go to Chip McCormick's. Got Chip McCormick 8 rounders. Had these for a while. So these are standard Wilsons. Doing okay. Starting to get somewhat erratic ejection, and that's probably from all the heat. 21 more rounds. Alright, so that's it. It's nice and smoky right now. So doing what it's supposed to do. Getting nice and hot. It's looking pretty good. So yeah, it's a little bit warm right now. So that was over 110 rounds out of this thing in what, last 5 minutes. So not too bad. So yep, this thing's working out just fine. So as you can see there, I had one malfunction, and that was from a Wilson Combat magazine. One of the rounds just kind of pushed up in that tilting follower because it's an 8-rounder. It's not like the 7-rounders that don't really tilt on the front. So had a magazine issue with that, and I've had that twice now. And then after that shooting footage, I shot like another 110 rounds through it, getting it nice and hot, and I had a live round, the last round in the magazine, on one of the silver Wilson Combat mags. You know, those stereotypical good 8-rounders that they have with the line down the middle. One of the last round in the magazine actually kicked out with the second to last, piece of brass or whatever. So it's like, okay, I guess that was weird, having a live round eject with it, and the slide locked back and everything. It was fine. I was just like, well, I only shot 7 rounds. That's kind of odd, but, yeah, kind of weird. But that was the only time I've ever seen that in a 1911, and that's usually a magazine issue. Like, it's not sprung properly, but I've had that around for a long time, and the springs are really loose on there, so, yeah, whatever. So, maintenance considerations. So, with a pistol like this, maintenance considerations: every 5,000 rounds, recoil spring is going to need to be changed. You're going to want to make sure the mainspring is also changed as well. You might want to check on the plunger assembly and make sure that it's wearing just right. But you want to keep springs on hand. It doesn't cost very much to keep springs on hand for a 1911, but as long as you're changing springs, regularly with the recoil springs, making sure they're not getting too loose before you change them out, these things will run like a top, and they'll run really well. Keep them wet and everything. Like, they love to be run wet. Every 100 rounds I was doing lubrication on this. Lubricating the hood, then locking it back, lubricating the barrel, running the action a few times, and then I would lock it back again, get it down on the disconnector and on the breech face just so stuff's not really sticking in there. I would run a little bit on the extractor. That's just me. I just like to do more on the extractor because I know stuff sticks down there. So next one, right where the disconnector goes, you want to make sure that you're lubricating this little notch that the disconnector rides in right here. So lower the wear there, and then run down each rail, and then go ahead and run it through, and then you should be good. And these things tend to like to run wet more than anything, so just do your due diligence in making sure that you're running them wet, and it's going to be good to go. But I'm going to go ahead and end this by showing you footage of me doing timed shots, before I actually started running the target that I showed you here. So anyways, just wanted to show you where my skill level was after just maybe a day of a little dry fire practice and just kind of getting accustomed to the pistol and seeing how I could run it. But anyways, I appreciate you guys watching. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below, and you guys have a good one. Okay, so out at the range with the Meusoc clone, and just going to do a few drills. Got about 110 rounds. Yep, going to use my little timer on my phone and just see where I'm getting, doing 2, 3, 4 shots, whatever, and seeing how I'm able to get back on target. Not really going for speed, just going for more what I can pick up because these are blacked out sights. So, all right. Need to work on that presentation time, getting that first shot, because I'm over a second. Alright. So, not too bad, but I'd like to be at 1.5. So presentation time is everything, should be at 0.8 on the first shot. Exactly a second and 0.6, so I can do better. Ideal time is 0.4. Alright, so getting closer. So I'm at that 0.5 region. That's good. Yep, same time. Got like one shot left. Called it. Yeah, I was at 0.88. That's nice.